the generation of the Son in eternity, and his manifestation in time. Since before the beginning of the temporal world, there has been the eternal world, which in fact is the exemplar of this world, the reason and intelligible word of the architect of the world, the splendor of its glory, and the image, figura, of its substance. The word of this kind is always with God, and is God himself. Thereby, divine power was speaking with itself from outside of time, and in speaking it, impressed not only itself, but also everything else onto the world from within. Thereby, at some point, the ages were expressed from without as much as everything within the ages. After the mysteries of the prophets, the heavenly spirits, John the Evangelist and Paul the Apostle, poured these divine oracles from heaven onto man. At some point, however, the human race rebelled against God, and without God, was never able to rise again towards God because it had fallen to the lowest depth. But at some point it behooved human minds to rise again, lest God had created in vain that which he had created to follow him. By the word of God men had previously been formed. By the same word they ought to be reformed, and deservingly so, for by the light of the intellectual word the darkness of the human intellect must be expelled. The rational animal must be corrected by the reason of God. Therefore, when the times were set by the divine will, God created by the rational word a man's soul, which, in the same moment, he joined to the tender fetus in the womb of a virgin conceiving through the divine Spirit. Also, in the same moment, the Word itself assumed a human nature, and from an immortal soul and a mortal body was made entirely like a man. Thus, from that man and the Word of God, Christ became one, God and man. Thus, infinite goodness, which wants to share itself with everything, then shared itself with all things in a most fitting way, when it joined to itself a man, and in him, in the middle rank of things, as it were, everything is contained. Then neither did the divine majesty change its abode, nor did the divine sublimity lower itself to the human, as if through a deficiency, but rather it elevated the human to itself. Nor could the infinite light of the divine Sun be corrupted in any way by being joined to a man, but by this joining, man has always been able to be illuminated and perfected. And just as in the case of man, to grow and to diminish thus concern the body in such a way that they never penetrate to the soul, so too in the case of Christ, to suffer what is human particularly concerned the man, and did not penetrate to the divinity. Christ therefore suffered what is human as a man, and wrought what is divine as God.